Wooden base. Pine base. Wooden base. Pine base.
And it gets your face like warmed up.
Super serious.
Where nothing fun or funny ever happens.
This is a super serious thing.
I don't even like dogs.
Super serious.
I can hear puppies whining.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Super Serious Dog Podcast. As you can see, Courtney and I are currently have a guest on again. Her name's Jamie Fincher. She's awesome. Welcome to the podcast, Jamie.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Let's go.
Let's go. You're just go. Freaking sport dog people, just always ready to go and bite stuff. And
What is impulse control?
I don't know. It's a weird thing. So, Jamie, for our listeners who may not know who you are, why don't you give everybody a little rundown?
Definitely. Yeah. So I'm a huge dog nerd. I am 34 years old, just had a birthday. Yay. So I've been a dog nerd for all my life so far. But basically, I started working with dogs around 2006. Like vet clinic, started working at daycares, grooming, boarding kennels, kind of all of that type of stuff. So I got a lot of experience getting hands-on with dogs. Started getting into a lot of rescue work and then dog sports, working dog side of things, and just kind of found my niche working with dogs, working with my personal dogs and training and competing and things like that. And so as I started working with dogs, I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I just didn't really know kind of in what capacity to do that with. So I tried a lot of different things. I went to school to be a vet tech. So I did that for a minute, for a little bit, and then realized I kind of was like watching all these dogs come in and out every day in the clinic, dragging their owners around, having really, really terrible problems that could be easily fixed with training, and their owners just knowing what to do with them. So I just would always think about that. It was always in the back of my mind, and I would get really frustrated having to work with these dogs that I couldn't really help in ways that they needed to be helped, obviously non-medically. And so I was like, well, I really want to find another job kind of going in that more in the dog training direction. And it was also kind of a necessity because I wasn't making a lot of money as a vet tech. So they tell us in school it's a labor of love for sure. And they were not lying. So, so I know a lot of people kind of come to those crossroads when they think about dog training and wanting to get into it. There's a lot of people that work in corporate situations or just kind of dead end type of jobs. They're not really happy, but they really like working with dogs and they want to kind of make a career out of that. So I was thinking a lot about that. And I finally just decided to make the scary jump into dog training. So I was real nervous about it, but I felt really good about it too. And so I started working for Sit Mean Sit in Houston, which I didn't really know anything about the company. I just knew they worked with remote collars, which I had been using remote collars for a long time before that. But mainly just in like recall work and things like that, correction based. So I learned a lot there in Houston for a couple years and then transferred to San Antonio, Sit Mean Sit, when I moved out there. So I've been here for about 4 years now. And so I learned a lot, definitely working with, that's probably the most experience I've got working with pet type of dogs. So I have no problem motivating and working with like high energy, high drive working dogs, but pet dogs definitely was a new venture for me. So I learned a lot working with pet type of people. And
because the expectations are so different in the pet world than in the sport dog world. So for our listeners, most of our listeners are pet dog people. So everybody that has a pet wants like a dog that they can take places and do fun stuff with. And they just want their dog to just be nice, right? Like that's kind of the ultimate goal. Be nice and listen.
Be nice and always listen and mind. Well,
yeah. Whereas
like, people call it mind. They're like, I want my dog to mind. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like your dog does mind. It minds its own business and does what it wants. Like it is minding.
But like in the sport dog world, it's like, it's more like hiring a trainer to get you to the Olympics type of thing. It's more like, no. I know how to do the basics. I know how to heel. Just make it better. Help me make it better.
More badasser.
Yeah, more badasser. So it's just a different world. It's like, oh, I'm going to teach my dog to bite harder.
Bark louder.
Bark
Push
louder.
me around. Yeah.
It's like the total opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you just got a new Dobie that has bounced around from house to house. How's Draka doing? Yeah. Her name's Draka.
Her name is Draka, of course. It has to have like a gamer name. So yes, this poor dog, well, I mean, not really poor dog. She's a really nice dog, just kind of got caught up in unfortunate situations for 3 years of her life now. So very interesting story. I don't know how detailed you want me to get into it.
Detailed as you want.
But basically, I had lost my Doberman Tigra, which you guys have met. So I lost her on Easter, unfortunately, to Doberman-related diseases, heart issues. She was only 6 years old. And she was a really incredible Doberman, and I really had fun. She was like my hardcore working dog. I was getting ready to start titling her in IGP, doing a lot of cool stuff with her. And then she got sick suddenly. And so I had to put her down, fortunately. But I knew I had wanted to get another Doberman. I was thinking it would probably be in like a 2-3 year time frame because my Beauceron is just like a year old. This is very much a puppy in Beauceron world. So I'm like, I don't really want 2 young dogs at the same time. So I was like cruising along, right? And then all of a sudden I saw this like ad or this post from one of my friends who lives out of state, who is a Doberman person as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dog, she's like this 3-year-old dog, who needs a home. It's not working out in the home that she's in. And I was like, wait a minute, this dog looks really well bred. It looks pretty well taken care of. So I was like, there's got to be more to the story. So I inquired about her, and because of her age and her circumstance, and I knew it could help her out with my experience, I've done Doberman rescue for over 10 years, and I've been on both sides of the coin as far as working Dobermans and pet Dobermans. So I inquired more about her and ended up working out where I could get her. So I traveled to Houston, which isn't too far, but she traveled from Georgia. So got her on a rescue transport. A really cool company, Sunshine Transport Company. Shout out to them if I can do that.
Nice.
I've never heard of them, but they transport dogs all the time. It's like a mother-daughter team. So if anyone needs help, rescue dog, show dog, whatever.
Yeah. What was the name one more time?
Sunshine's Transport Company.
Sunshine's Transport Company.
Really cute little name. Yeah.
That's so cute.
Awesome. So they helped get her to me. And this dog, she's all the problems that she's had for the reasons why she was given up. I don't have those issues with her. So I think a lot of her issues stem from maybe like dog lovers, people that thought Dobermans are really neat, really cool dogs, but weren't really prepared for everything that comes along with it, and with challenging a working breed and keeping their brain from turning to mush. And this dog...
What are some things that are like specific to Dobermans?
So Dobermans in general, just because of how they were bred for so long and what they were created for personal protection, they can be very sharp, can be very defensive. They like to bark, they like to protect, they like to defend. They have a lot of energy, typically have a lot of prey drive as well. So with these guys, if you do not train them early on or socialize them early on or really know what you're doing, how to work with them. So they're just a strong type of, more dominant type of dog, type of breed that can definitely take control and take over really quickly because of their tendencies with their traits, their genetic traits. Things can go south pretty quickly if you do not give them a job to do and keep them busy and really build up a good relationship with them. So like with this dog in particular, some of her issues were like possession, which I love possessive types of dogs. That's what I look for in my sport dogs. I want them to want the thing and want to go after it. But in terms of this dog being in a pet home, it turned into resource guarding. So
right. It's a very fine line if you think about, I mean, it's a fine line.
Yes, definitely. So she would guard, things like food and toys and around the other dogs. So her issues were never really with people, which is good, but with the other dogs in the house. So there just really wasn't any rules or boundaries. So she was, feeling like she needed to create those, which would get her into trouble because she would attack the other dog, things like that.
Right.
And then they would probably favor the other dog, like what we talked about with Pat last episode.
Easier dog. Yeah. Easier dog to handle. And of course they don't want to see their resident dog get beat up, by this other dog that they brought in. But also they had young kids in the house. So again, just, not having a good management system, not really being educated, not knowing what to do, not how to handle those problems, and just manifested. And so just got her in a lot of trouble. And so she wasn't like neglected or anything. It just was a bad match. I think they're probably going to bring this Doberman in. That was going to be easy. And she definitely needed some work. So
and she bounced around from house to house, right? Like, so she was in at least a couple different homes, right?
Yeah. So before that, she was in another home with this lady who just traveled all the time, just wasn't really home. And a Doberman is not really a dog that does well with that environment. They really need a more present type of owner because they were bred to work with man and be right there with them. So they're not really a dog you can just kind of leave at home unsupervised for long periods of time, or not really be active or involved with and expect them to be really happy, content type of dog. So she realized that. So that's why she passed her off. And then before that, her original owner, I'm not really clear because I actually have gotten in touch with them, but I haven't really got an answer back. But the trainer that worked with them with this dog as a puppy said that it was because they had moved and they had like expensive grass they were getting put down or something like that. I don't know. And they didn't want her to tear it up. So
awesome.
What? That breaks my heart. Are you kidding me? Like, material possessions over a live creature that you've decided to take responsibility for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. Like, I've had couches torn up and I've had to spend a lot of money, like paying apartment complexes, being like, I'm really sorry. Yeah. My bad. But like, that's messed up. That breaks my heart.
Yeah. But I mean, it goes back to kind of separating, like there's like, people, they're true dog lovers. And then there's people that kind of like the idea of having a dog around, but don't really want to take responsibility for literally like all the things that come along with it, the good and the bad. And so
right.
Yeah. That's crazy. So what do you like now that you've gotten to know Draka a little bit better? Do you think you're going to compete with her, or is she going to be more like just a badass dog that has cool skills?
Yeah. So time will definitely tell with her. So my love is protection sports. So I definitely get really interested in that. And any dog in my house, well, besides 14-year-old Zelda back there, she's just a princess, retired princess. But so my future dogs, like I really want to get them into bite sports and things like that. And it's just perfect for a Doberman because they were bred to bark and bite and be obedient. So on track. So with her, I'm still in the stages of figuring her out and definitely working on my engagement and my relationship with her, because this dog is completely distracted by everything around her. She's way overstimulated with her environment. So I'm working on that.
It doesn't sound like she's had much exposure or focus built. So I imagine she's all over the place.
Definitely all over the place. She has a really good temperament, but she seems kind of soft and sensitive in some ways, which Dobermans can be for sure. And especially with her being an American line, just from show dogs, they're bred to be really, really good house pets and active companions. So kind of the harder working temperament isn't really in there, I guess, up front in the pedigree. So I'm not really sure. She definitely has a high prey drive. She gets crazy excited for stuff. She likes to play tug. She has a really good grip and a really good bite. But I definitely see some sensitivities in certain areas with her. For example, she has OCD issues with chasing the light. So maybe someone used a laser pointer with her or something. Like, she will literally grind her teeth on the concrete. So I really like her intensity, but not in that situation.
Not where it's focused right now. You got to steer it somewhere else. Yeah, exactly.
So using a tool like a prong collar to get her attention, she shuts down. She's like, whoa, what the heck is that? And not even using it, in any compulsive manner, just, trying to get her, redirect her focus with it. And she flattens her ears and kind of looks down like she's not scared, like she's scared about, what she's supposed to be doing. So either it's just her, maybe she's really sensitive, or maybe she was, punished for some things or with certain tools. I'm not really sure. So
inappropriate corrections, just bad timing, poor body language, emotional, like that can make a dog question what a correction is for and make them take it too seriously. I've usually seen in Dobermans, because I've mostly always worked in the pet world. I don't see as many of the defensive ones, because those people usually go to like the protection trainers, because they're like, hey, this is what I got a fucking Doberman for. I usually see the super soft, shut down, crawling on the floor, shooting their anal glands ones. And I'm like, what happened to this dog? Like, that's not what this creature was made for. And it's usually, humans that didn't expose them or, corrected their drive, and so shut them down early on. And they just took it personally, and they're like, man, fuck this, and that sucks to see that side of it.
Yeah. So I'm dealing with that currently with her. So right now it's all about just building her up. So with that, I'm not doing a lot of like strict pet obedience with her. So completely opposite. If she were just coming in as just like a pet dog, wasn't really going to do much with her. It's kind of completely opposite of what I'm doing. So I'm allowing her to pull, not really doing a lot of leash manners with her right now. The thing is, because I don't want her falling into obedience mode and feeling like she's getting corrected, for every little thing. And then in bike sports, they need to pull. They're going to be in a harness. They need to drive. They need to go dig in, and be completely open and free. So it's kind of like some things I'm teaching her boundaries here and there, working my relationship, but a lot of things she is kind of allowed to get away with some rude behavior, because I want to bring her out when we start testing her out, and I want her to be free and to be able to, pull and go for the toy and things like that, and tap into her prey drive, instead of her feeling like she's getting shut down or a correction. So we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with her, but I'll definitely try and start her out in that. If she's not cut out for that, I've never forced a dog to do anything they're not happy with, which I see a lot of people do. And so there's a lot of fallout that can come from that. And that just, sets dogs up for a lot of failure. So I'm not about that life.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately something that like we trainers run into a ton is exactly that. People trying to force their dogs into this little box, this bubble of expectation, right? Like they adopt this super sweet, terrified 4-month-old puppy that's pancaked down to the ground. And they're like, I just want to take my dog to the beach once a month and have it run around off leash and play and not be afraid of the kids running around on the beach. And it's like, you picked the wrong dog for that. Like that dog it might be like, oh, I'm just overstimulated in this one moment, but chances are it had a really poor upbringing. And by poor, I mean underexposed, not even necessarily abused. It just didn't grow up in the city. It grew up in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And now you're bringing it into this environment and expecting it to thrive. And it's just,
that's something we've talked about before, is that exposure through puppyhood and how important it is. And it sounds like this dog you got, Jamie, didn't get a lot of that. And you're having to kind of counteract that problem and let the dog be the puppy that pulls and acts like a fool and just go all the way, and be a puppy again, so that you can redo that exposure and redo all that training. But I mean, us as trainers, we also know that there's a chance that it's not going to get the dog there. And she may just end up being a pet that plays tug a lot and does no obedience,
Yep.
And she never sees a field. But, I wish you good luck of getting her out of her shell and onto that field. 'Cause I know I've seen what you do with your Beauceron. That's amazing stuff. Yeah. So he looks fun.
That dog is crazy.
He's crazy. You made him crazy though. You like him like that.
I encouraged it. Yeah. But also like he was bred specifically, for those certain traits and for those drives. And so being a Beauceron compared to other Beaucerons, more and so in the United States, he's kind of bred to be a little more crazier. He comes from protection sport titled dogs. There's a lot of protection sport titled dogs close up in his pedigree versus being bred more for the show ring or for, CGC titles, basic stuff like that. So, and so with him, nature and nurture, I got a dog that genetically, was bred to be able to do this stuff, and I just nurtured it. And so he's a beast. Right. He comes out there, he pushes me to work and do things. Complete confidence. My first Doberman that I got going back about 10 years ago, he, before him, I wasn't involved in any dog sports. I had no idea about that side of life. And so after I got him a couple of years into it, then I met a Schutzen trainer. And so I got really into that. And at this point, all I had been doing with that dog was pet obedience stuff. And I went to these trainers who taught me just, basically get him to mind. Just, shut his drive down and don't encourage it. And, and nothing was really relationship based. So he was really good at listening, but, the first time I brought him out there to test him out, we back tied him. So we hooked him to a harness and put him on a line around a tree. And so he went for the toy, but as soon as he hit the end of the line, he was like, oh shit.
My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not supposed to have the toy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh man. And so I really saw the effects, of all this training I had done and how that influenced his behavior. And so like genetically, maybe there was some stuff there he could have done, but, for the long time, I was kind of encouraging, these other behaviors in him. Yeah. And so
going forward, how do you go back to a dog and be like, remember all that stuff I taught you over here? don't worry about that anymore. Do this now. And it's like, it's hard enough to get a human to understand that, let alone a dog and who's, totally. It has a strong reinforcement history.
Yeah. It takes years of undoing. I guess we'll see what I can do.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm doing that now with the current one. So we'll see. But after him, then it's like, okay, going forward, I'm like, now I know the sport I like, the kind of dogs that I like, I want to get into. But I think, a lot of people, they go down that path that I went through because you just don't have the education, you don't have the knowledge. And so you get the dog first, and then you find out, oh, actually, I really like this, or I like these behaviors, and this might be the right dog for that.
Right. Because had you known everything you know now 10 years ago with that dog, and obviously he wouldn't have not known the stuff because you would have started early. But you know what I mean? Like you probably would have been able to, bring it out in him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I see the differences in the dogs that I have going forward, and starting them out, in a certain way, completely different, and how that's affected their behavior and being more capable of doing things for sure. So.
One thing that you've mentioned numerous times, and this is something I know that's always been really, really big for you. Even like I remember shadowing your lessons and like you breaking it down to people and be like, y'all suck at relationship building. Like you straight up told a client that one time. And I was like, like pick up my jaw off the ground.
Yeah.
So like that, there's a lot of trainers that throw that term around, right? Like relationship-based behavior modification or relationship-based training, which sounds awesome. And like, in theory, like, yes, everybody should be doing that. What does that mean specifically to you?
Right. So it's just, your relationship with your dog, how your dog views you, how you view your dog, and just how basically you're living with your dog. And these are terms that I had never heard before, along 14 years ago when I got Zelda over there. Like, I just didn't know. Like, I went to class and it was, here's how you teach your dog these commands, go practice it.
Right.
Okay. Whereas now, and plus being in a sport dog world, I see like how the relationship directly affects like, your performance with your dog and just everything in general, how they respond to you, how they respect you, how you respect your dog. After learning all of that and applying it to my own dogs and seeing a huge change, I'm like, okay, there's something to this for sure. So I would start mentoring under trainers that kind of, took that approach with their dog and that lifestyle. And then I would start doing lessons with our pet clients. And, one of the first things I ask is, do you know what the term engagement means in dog training? And they're like, huh? Like, oh no, we have a problem here. So
Square one. Okay. That's where we are.
So assume our listeners don't know what engagement is. You're going to describe that, define it real
Well, then
quick?
they're not my clients, Misha.
Yeah, right. Someone just stumbles upon this podcast. Like, what? So, yeah. So I didn't know, these things. So 10 years ago, working with my first Doberman, this was the first thing we worked on was engagement. I was like, what the hell is this? And so, so engagement is basically, it's nothing new, nothing mind blowing. A lot of trainers out there incorporate this, but it's just basically, you're everything to your dog. Your dog seeks you out for everything, for play, for affection, for food, all that type of stuff. And, you're the most important thing in their world. And when you have that relationship with your dog in a healthy way, I'm definitely not talking about codependency. I think a lot of people think they have a good relationship with your dog.
My dog loves me. What are you talking about? They come to me for everything, for pets and for treats. And that's not what we mean.
So that's a whole nother topic. It's a whole other podcast episode.
Oh, you should stick around for the Patreon episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But very important stuff. But yeah, so engagement, just, your dog just looking at you like you're the light of their life. So if you have that type of attention and relationship with your dog, then everything really comes easily, and you're not going to really run into a lot of the behavior challenges and just living challenges, pack challenges with your dog if you understand engagement and what it means to have a healthy, good relationship.
I think something like 80 to 90% of people, the first thing they say in the consultation or on their contact form or when they're saying something about needing training is my dog doesn't pay attention to me. And I'm like, You know what that tells me? You didn't give your dog a reason to. So we need to give your dog a reason to pay attention to you all the time, not just during a training session, all the time. You need to be valuable 24 hours a day, basically. That doesn't mean the dog, like we said, is jumping on you, needing you. There should be boundaries also. But you need that relationship if you want to build anything else. If you don't have that, then you're just I don't know, yelling in the wind. You're just like, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. So basically, I guess you could say that a good sign that somebody doesn't have engagement in their dog is when they're like, good boy or good girl. And then they have to like bend over and like do this, like, hey, here's the treat. Here's the treat. Hey, look, come here, get the treat. And the dog's like, what are you talking about? I don't know.
You're talking to me? I don't know.
What? Food. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it.
And they immediately check out again. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So people, not really understanding what that entails, what that means, how to actually get engagement with their dog. It's not about bribing. Oh, I can get my dog inside for a treat, or, doing this for a treat. So yeah, and I can see that off the bat, taking a client out there in a lesson and like, okay, get attention with your dog. And the dog's like, sorry. And they're trying really hard to get the dog's attention, where you got to think about it, having your dog work for it, like kind of playing hard to get, things like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of education. So, us tech trainers need to get out there, keep putting content out there and helping people out. But I think there's a big movement towards that for sure. At least I've seen in the past decade. Things are a lot different, it feels like. And so I've, and also just learning in the sport world, I've taken so many elements of learning from not sport dog trainers, but trainers that, they focus heavily on sport dogs or training compete with their own dogs, or, go around the seminars. So, and that it's actually where I learned engagement. So all that type of stuff helped me with the pet clients and helping other pet dog trainers understand that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the reasons that, and I just kind of had this realization right now talking to you, is that that may be why I started incorporating a lot more shaping in my training than just luring, because like, it was a new skill. I wanted to learn it. So in order to learn it, you got to do it. And you got to have a sample population to practice on, right? And what better population than your own clients? And I'm not even kidding. There were certain times where I'd be like, holy shit, it worked way better than I thought it was going to work. But I really like shaping a lot, because like you have to be hands off. So it really forces the person to shut up and stop talking and stop bribing. And it really gets them to realize that their dog can learn a lot from just a few pieces of information. And their dog is way more capable, but it also helps build up a lot of patience on the human side. So I try to, it's not right for every client, honestly, but I try to at least teach one thing in the format of shaping. And if they utterly fail and they're like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, I know, that's why you have to do it. That's why you need to work on. Yeah. Because you don't get it, and you won't until you do it, basically. So,
and your dog needs you to, so do it.
Yeah. So shut up.
Stop talking. You're talking too much. Yeah. So I love, deaf dogs are awesome because clients can't talk to them.
I know, right? I know.
So people think that, they think luring is kind of a way to, they have attention with their dog, but the dog's working for food, right? So luring is a big part of a lot of what I do in my relationship building and training and teaching concepts and shaping behaviors. But free shaping actually allows the dog to use their brain. You're taking off the training wheels. And so at some point you have to move away from that luring phase. And I think there's the disconnect there with a lot of trainers that are heavy with treats. They don't really know how to help clients move away from that because they don't know themselves, right? Everything is just luring. So there's a lot to that as well.
Yeah. Sure. So we've been talking about your dogs, and your Bosteron, his name is Thrall, which comes from World of Warcraft, and Draka is Thrall's mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Also from World of Warcraft. So you can include your little PETA sleeping on behind you back there. So Jamie has a tattoo of Zelda, and it says PETA on it. Because what does it stand for, Jamie?
Let me see. Yeah. Pain in the ass.
That's right. Pain in the ass.
That was before training a long time ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just talking at her. Yeah. And all the luring with treats and the clicker. She's redeemed herself since then, though. She's awesome now. So if let's put them into the World of Warcraft and into the realm of that fantasy. So if they had to have a class, right? So like druid, witch doctor, mage, blah blah blah. What would each of your dogs be? Oh man.
It's okay if you don't know Draka well enough to pick a class for her yet. You could do a cop out like Demon Hunter.
Draka would definitely be a warrior. She's like a berserker warrior. She's like straight up savage. She does not give a fuck. No, I already know that about her. I already know that.
That's awesome.
Like, that's all. I will set boundaries, and she knows her stuff. So yeah, Draka is a warrior. Zelda, what class just doesn't give a fuck? Warlocks?
Yeah, warlocks.
Do their own thing. They're like, whatever, bend the rules.
Yeah. High damage. Yeah. I should rather stay away from most people.
Manipulation.
Yeah, 100%. What about Thrall?
Oh my gosh. Thrall would be, would he be a rogue? I feel like he's like a shitlord. He's a little shitlord. He's instigating shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He's not very stealthy, but minus the stealth part, rogue.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
He can take high fall damage too. He's a sturdy dog.
Dude, he's a tanky. He's a big boy.
Yes,
he's cute. I'll have to have you send photos of your kids so that way we can put it up on the video.
How big is he in real life? Because I've never seen him in real life. I've only seen him in like your videos and stuff.
Yeah, so I haven't weighed him lately. Like probably a month or so ago, he was like 93 pounds. So I feels like he's close to like probably getting close to 100 now. I'm not sure how tall he is. I haven't measured him, but he will not stop growing physically and mentally until about 4 to 5 years of age.
Ooh.
So they are a very slow maturing breed. Definitely slower than.
I didn't know they matured that slowly. That's crazy.
It's a thing for sure. We like us in our little boat surround community. There's been pictures of dogs still like changing at like 4 and 5 years of age. So
man, I thought Rottweilers matured slowly.
He's like a baby. Like even at a year old, he is a baby.
He's a wee bow surround.
Yeah.
Even though he's really big, but yeah. So he's big, but he's still for a bow surround. He's really immature. So, but I mean that's lean too. He's a very lean dog as well. Obviously, keep him in shape because we do sports and stuff. But they get a little bit bigger than a German Shepherd. So males can get up to 110 pounds. So
that's
cool. A lot of substance. Yeah,
that's dope.
Nice.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Jamie, do you have any like new programs or anything you want to plug for Magnum Opus K9?
Yeah, so I started this company. It's been almost a year, and everything I do is just private lesson training. Private lesson training. I am who I am. I'm a pretty blunt, direct type of trainer. I do not sugarcoat because I want my clients to succeed. I want to tell them what they need to hear. So anyone that definitely is interested in, getting your dog started in different sports foundations, I'm really heavy on the relationship engagement stuff. Helping your dog reach your full potential. I love working with herding and working type of breeds, protective type of dogs. So tapping into all that drive and learning how to work with it. I was just thinking,
maybe I should talk to Jamie about Phoebe.
Mm-hmm. You totally should.
All right. We're going to have a conversation, Jamie. Sorry, I interrupted your train of thought.
Anytime. Yeah. Okay. Phoebe. So anyone, I really do well. I'm pretty good with most types of dogs. Definitely I like fearful. I love working with fearful dogs, but my niche for sure is working type of dogs. So if you have like a herding breed, a working breed, you don't know what to do with their energy, their drive, please come talk to me. I can help you out. So I do, one-on-one in person, but I also help people across the country. So, phone consultations, email, however I can help you. I'm willing to do that. So
cool. How can they get in contact with you?
So right now, since I'm just a baby company, starting everything from scratch, just basically social media. So my Facebook page, MO K9 Training, Magnum Opus K9 Training, and then my Instagram, Magnum Opus K9.
Cool. And that's K, like the letter K and then the number 9.
Number
right?
9.
Number 9. Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Jamie. We loved having you.
Yeah. And good to see you.
Hell yeah.
So definitely get in contact with Jamie if you have questions about a working line dog, especially if you're in and around the San Antonio area. If you guys want to get in touch with us, you can email us at superseriousdogpodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out our Patreon. I don't remember what our lowest tier is, but it's like
$1.
It's $1. $1, Bob. You
$1,
get extra
Bob.
content. You get to see Exactly. We're going to talk to Jamie for a whole nother hour. So if you really like what she had to say and you want to hear more, definitely go check that out. And if you can't support us financially, but you would love to help out, leave us a review and be specific. Be like, man, I really love that interview that you did with Jamie. And help spread the word. Tell your friends about us.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.
You got to dance this a little bit.
I like how we never tell anybody that we dance at the end. Hell yeah.